Okay, good morning. It's still morning, right? Yeah, well, I had half of you guys in my previous session, and I saw some of you guys yesterday. So my name's Sean Wilson. I am the product marketing manager for Skype for Business. But as part of that, I own deployment, manageability, and IT Pro. And so I actually have worked within the Teams group as well to help them with what their direction is going to be around the IT Pro experience and what that's going to look like. But today really is an introduction to Teams. And I'm going to walk you through a little bit of like the high-level conversation around it and what it is. But the other piece I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do a demo. And there's a clear demo script that they want me to follow that I'm not going to. Because I want to show you how I use it every day. And how I do it in different things, and how it really has changed the way our teams communicate, and talk a little bit about that, okay? So let's kick it off. So Teams is a chat-based workspace in Office 365. And what I want to set the stage on this is if you think of Office 365, and you think of everything that it encompasses, your original Office, right? Word, PowerPoint, Excel, that we all know and love for decades. It integrates with Exchange. It integrates with the AD backend infrastructure for permissioning. It integrates with SharePoint. It integrates with Planner and Power BI. It really is the place to collaborate in an asynchronous chat-based workspace. Any of you that have been around for a long time within the Skype for Business world or Link back in the day have always asked, what are you going to do about persistent chat in the cloud, right? Well, Teams is our step towards even beyond just the persistent chat element, but really understanding how people work. Now, there is before I get into any of this stuff, there's a new dynamic that's out there. And that dynamic that exists is that we have generations we have 3 generations in the workspace right now. And different people have different working styles. I know that even in my team, my demographic of my team is we are all over 40, we are all professionals that are living in Redmond, and for us, it was kind of a mental shift for us to be able to go and be able to work on something that was in a persistent chat, asynchronous world because we lived in the one that we had all grown up with. Do you know what that's called? Yeah, email, right? AOL, there you go. Hey, we're back. Well, you know, it's very, from my perspective, it is very much that same persistent chat. We're going back to the technologies that personally we had used. Somebody yesterday asked me to describe, how do you describe the cloud? And I said, well, to somebody that doesn't understand it, I said, well, ask them if they had a Hotmail account. And if they have a Hotmail account, then they understand how the cloud worked for the individual because it was somebody else running the service that they just didn't have the resources or capabilities to do. It's the same thing with the cloud, right? AOL was our venture into persistent chat within groups. Where are we, 20 years back now? 95? 95, right? Yeah. Oh, that's how you met your wife. Excellent. Okay, so let's kind of get started if this thing's going to... There we go. Nope. This thing doesn't like me. Okay. So one of the things that we talk about is in this world is really that our way that we work and communicate has dynamically changed. I use this statistic a lot, and that is that Gartner says that the majority of the workforce, and I don't have a specific number off the top of my head, majority of the workforce will work remotely at least one day of the week by 2018. Now, what that also means, though, is that I have not only my own teams that are sitting here or remotely. By the way, I noticed that your video, and this is actually going to be available on video, and all the decks will be available on site afterwards. So, but one of the pieces, though, that we're also seeing is that we are very much, you've all heard the term global village. Well, it's becoming even smaller than that. It's almost a global household because we have people that are working across time zones. We're having people that are working cross-continent, cross-hemisphere, and even cross-team, right? And so one of the things we know is 2 times the number of teams that people are part of from 5 years ago. I'm going to guess that's actually a low number. Think of, who here knows the word V-team or virtual team, right? That team where you go cross-group and you have to work. And it's become much more of a common place for us to think about it. And as we think of multi-generational workspaces, how people are truly working. So what are some of the different ways that people communicate? Now, we heard AOL, right? So we like to have chat-based workspace. We have our favorite, which we are mostly in this room, I'm looking at, probably our generation has been email predominantly, okay? As we look at voice and video and meetings within Skype for Business and how we work, we also are really, with this day and age, the amount of content that's being built and delivered is unprecedented. The amount of storage that we are creating, not only from pictures and videos that we are recording and posting, but also from us as organizations that we are creating content in a more dynamic way every day. That goes to that sites and content management, right? More and more storage. How do you make sure you can find what you need to find when you need to find it, right? And then finally is that enterprise social. It's that world where we take a look at how we interact with our colleagues. And, you know, we have Yammer for enterprise social within Microsoft. You've got different applications that are out there. We have lived in a social network, social media frenzy for the better part of a half decade. And so what these have done, though, is they've created these siloed apps. Somebody goes out and they say, hey, you know, I need a workplace workflow app. And so they go get this individual app. Or you might have an individual team that happens to realize that they all are on iPhones and they found the productivity app that they wanted to use that has no oversight or control from IT, right? You've got the fact that you've got people that are going and finding these applications and finding these scenarios to solve. And what we did at our core was truly understand that within Office 365, we had that complete solution as long as we were able to tie it together. And that's what we did to bring Teams as that common glue for that chat-based workspace. And the reason we call it the chat-based workspace is because it's just that. It's a workspace. It's where you go to get stuff done and be productive and co-create. The other piece is that it has to have the underlying core infrastructure. Office 365 groups, which is really the AD permissioning and grouping that sits underneath it that enables that, along with the Microsoft Graph, to really help us expose this information that lives in Teams. And we're going to do a demo in a little bit, and you're going to be able to see it, and we'll ask questions. But one of the other pieces for us is anything that sits in Office 365 has to be secure and meet compliance requirements. So we'll talk a little bit about where that is and what that looks like in a bit. So if you look at Microsoft, we've talked about this, but we really are the leader in mail. Would we agree? Okay. Just making sure you're still awake, because, you know, I'm being very prophetical. The other piece is Microsoft, with Skype for Business, we do over 100 million meetings a month within Skype. 100 million. So we're the leader in how people communicate in a real-time collaboration perspective. We have the ability, because of the power of the cloud and Office 365 and the purpose-built cloud using Office apps, to be able to co-author, co-edit. I used this in a previous session. How many people here have worked on a document with a colleague in the last month? Okay. So I'm going to guess some of you just didn't want to raise your hands, because we've all had to work with a colleague on a document, even if it was just to say, yeah, it looks good, right? But one of the things that it enables is the ability to both be in that document and collaborate at the same time. And we've integrated those experiences across, right? SharePoint Online, Delve, our ability to truly manage content is becoming a different paradigm because we're creating even greater facets of it. And Yammer, in the enterprise social, we are the leader in enterprise social for the last 7 years. So, when we looked at building teams, we had to take a look at some key pillars and key pieces, right? We had to be able to address how teams can communicate on working on a project. We know that there are products out there that are similar products. We have Slack and Spark and different ones out there. But the piece that really ties this in is that it has to be built as a hub for team for the applications or the productivity things they use, right? And it has to be customizable. But from IT, how many people in this room are IT professionals or managers? Okay. How many of you are partners? Okay, I got half a dozen of you. Good. When you have a conversation with people within your company, security is at the top of the list. You have conversations with people at all levels. It doesn't matter if they're a 50-year-old or 60-year-old CEO, or they are a 22-year-old developer that wants to make sure his source code is still his source code. So putting security at the center of teams was paramount for us. So I'm actually going to start a quick video that gives you a quick overview of teams, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it, and then we'll get into a demo. Oop.
Hi, and thanks for trying out Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is a new collaboration app that keeps all your team's important communications and files in one place. The Teams button shows you a list of all your teams. Your team conversations are called channels and can be organized however you like, by topics, departments, projects, or even just for fun. Channels are open to everyone on the team, so anyone can drop in and see what everyone's talking about. Tabs at the top of the channel let you customize your team space by keeping files, notes, apps, and websites where everyone can reach them. And when you need to meet real quick, just click the video button in the Compose box, start the meeting, and have everyone jump in. Want to chat one-on-one or with a group? No problem. Just click Chat, and you'll see a list of all your private conversations. Quickly start a new chat here, or click on someone's name to continue an existing conversation. And if you want to call people from the chat, you can do that right here. Click Activity to see all your notifications, app mentions, replies to your messages, and conversations you're part of. Staying on top of your schedule is easy. Just click Meetings to see your meetings and appointments. And when you click Files, you'll see all your personal OneDrive for Business and Team SharePoint files in one place. Of course, instant collaboration at your fingertips is great and all, but what about the fun? Well, we've packed that into a convenient hub of delight we like to call the Fun Picker. Everything from emojis to Giphies to stickers and memes that you can actually edit are there for you to showcase the personality of your team and add some flair to the conversation. And because Microsoft Teams works the way you work, you can take your conversations from your desktop and continue them on your mobile device, so you always stay up to date. Thanks for taking the tour. Now download the Microsoft Teams app and bring in the team.
Okay, so obviously that was a lot of fun. It was very casual. One of the things, though, that we do when we work within teams is there's two elements to how we work in teams. And the two elements that we have to do is how do we share ideas and concepts and workflows and information real time, but also how do I make sure that I've got it as accessible after the fact? And that's where persistent chat is such a key component to this. I'll tell a personal story. So we're working on a project for Anybody here familiar with Enterprise Connect? Okay, a couple of you. Okay, so Enterprise Connect used to be called VoiceCon. It's a very large video or voice conference, PBX conference. Now it's a collaboration conference, communications. And I had to end up taking 3 weeks off for some family stuff. And one of the challenges is that work didn't stop. Have you guys ever been in a project where everybody kept working, you ended up on vacation or had to take time off, and then you didn't know where everything was, and so you had to go around and find people. People had made decisions that you weren't aware of, right? Well, as we live in a community or a world where we've got different generations, one of the things that I get to see every day is I have people that work from 4 in the morning until 2 or 3. I have other people that work from 10 in the morning until 2 a.m., right? And call me a little bit more traditionalist, I try to keep mine within somewhat regular business hours of like 7 to 7 of working either at home or checking email. And so in that same scenario of where I went away and I was able to come back and pick up on the entire thread of where we were, I could see where we were on a planning perspective for our booth. I could also have the conversation about what it meant for our keynote and who we were thinking about for partners. And I could do that all from Teams, okay? And the reason that was, and that's the way that we're changing the way we work. You guys remember when you used to pick up a phone and call somebody down the hall? Or you'd not even pick up the phone, you'd actually get off your chair, walk down the hall, say hi to the person, go get coffee. You know, I call it a walkabout, and I've built it back into my daily routine because I used to literally use messaging, email, Skype for Business, to communicate back and forth with people. But now that we've got this dispersed workforce.
They said announce your name over the loudspeaker. You have a phone call on extension.
Yep, the old call park, right?
My name is being announced.
Yep.
I'm important.
So, as one of the things, though, that we think about is chat in today's world, right, is a very unique element because we have lived across multiple chat platforms throughout our lives. We have had AOL, as mentioned before. We have had text. We have had consumer apps like WhatsApp and Skype, right? But one of the things that we need to be able to do is take those conversations with us wherever we go. And so that's what Teams enables. It enables me to work in this Enterprise Connect where I work with marketing and engineering, as well as I work with our partner teams, and I have the ability to collaborate. And I'm going to show you what that looks like because I think I think showing is more about how it is, and I'm going to do that for probably the better part of the end of this. But it's also the hub for teamwork, right? So I'm going to ask the question because I'm going to do it. How many people in here have people using Slack in their company? Okay, cool. How many of those people that just raised their hands, are they dev groups that are using Slack? Okay, almost the same hands. That was really Slack's target, and that's where they got a lot of their usage. But one of the things that we realized is that same premise still needs to exist across all organizational levels. HR needs to do it on their new recruiting plan. Accounting needs to have a common place to talk about their new RevOps model. Consulting needs a place where they can talk about each of their client projects. And one of the things that Teams does is because it's integrated into that Skype for the Office 365 core platform, it gives you that site and content management within SharePoint. It gives you the ability to embed the information into that conversation so you don't have to go looking for it. And it also gives you the ability to tag stuff up along tabs along the top that are important. So this Enterprise Connect thing I'm doing on the top, our walking deck. The one that we update every week with every progress line that we have is in there. with every team's responsibility. And tagged beside that is planner. So we've got a work back schedule for Enterprise Connect. So as you look at it, because it integrates with OneNote and SharePoint and all the Office apps, it really becomes a collaboration tool that's not just for those dev groups. It's really for all the functional operational teams that are out there. Now, it is completely customizable by team, okay? So I can add those tabs. I'll show you what that looks like. You can actually use bots. It's really cool. I'll use Tbot, which is actually our internal bot that we built for help. So if I want something, I go to Tbot and I ask it, how do I embed an image? And it will help me. The other ones that are out there that really are key are we're doing these Office 365 connectors that really bring in third-party tools and services. One of the ones that I tried to do this morning, and I was just having challenges with it, was actually bringing in Bing and the financials, the exchange rates, right? Because if I have a team and we're working on revenue models and I'm having to deal with Canada and UK after Brexit and all that, I want to be able to understand what the implications of exchange rates are. So as I think about what I want to do, I also have a place to be able to continue to grow. A gentleman that was in my last session told me, he's like, look, I'm not an IT pro, I'm a software developer. And he was in my Skype for Business session. Well, that's part of the whole point, is to build this so it has those developer APIs, so you can continue to make it more valuable for you and your customer and your users. So there's a couple of key things that really are there. When I talk about compliance in Office 365, our ISO certifications are paramount. And the fact that we are HIPAA and EU Model Clause compliant is at the core of Office 365. Okay? If we can't rely on it to be compliant, and we do continuous compliance, that's an interesting one that I get to talk about in my world, is that a lot of people that go and get compliance as an individual organization for a single application means they do it once and they meet the requirements for that compliance. We have to continuously do it within Office 365 to maintain it across the board. Some of the other pieces that we do is, because it's built on that Office 365 platform, we want to ensure that your data is encrypted, not only in transit, right, but also when it's sitting at rest. So that if you're putting your information into this ecosystem, that it's your data and your information. As well, with this post-Snowden world, modern authentication, especially as we're all carrying around these things, is absolutely crucial. And the ability to integrate that directly into the Office 365 multi-factor auth is key for us, as well as obviously any of the privacy safeguards that are there. So remember I was talking about how you had developers, and that was Slack's world. Well, if you think about it, there are a lot of different groups that are here. And they say sales, marketing, project management, engineering, customer support, but really it's any group that needs to work together. Who here has had HR come to them and say, hey, I need something to help me with foo? Right? How many people have had finance do that? How many people have had operations come to them, right? The key is that it's not necessarily limited to these 5 or to any of them one. Because, by the way, those first 2, what do those 2 do all the time? They work together. But if they had a siloed approach to, hey, this is my SharePoint site for my information, and marketing has their SharePoint site for their information, but they're both working on trying to deliver a new product and a new release and a product launch, and they need to get everybody up to speed, having a central location that's very project-centric or product-centric is important. Some of the key things that you can really do, you can also, the project management aspects. Anybody in here a PM? Okay. Anybody in here not a PM but acts as a PM a lot of the time? Yeah, okay. We take notes, we make sure people are doing deliverables, but having a central location that everybody that's a stakeholder can view. That enterprise connecting I was talking about, we've got VPs that have access to go in and review the information. And they have full access to it. Now, we can send them the status report every week, but it also gives us the ability to have that real time. And if I want to, I can @mention that VP and say, hey, Ron, I need your input on the keynote flow because I feel that we're missing this. And at that point, he gets a notification and he can then participate. And it really gives you that flexibility and that ability to reach across teams. So let's talk a little bit about Marks & Spencer. Who here knows Marks & Spencer? Okay, so we've got a couple people from the UK. So Marks & Spencer, their collaboration architect, Steve Collier, came to, when we were talking to him, said, look, his people in his organization would say, hey, how should I work? And his answer was, well, where do you want to work? Where do you want to communicate? Are you in Outlook? If that's your space, then use the groups that are there. If you happen to be in an organization that is a little bit more wanting to be in that collaborative space of a chat-based workspace like Teams, then you can do that. But the core behind it is that it all lives with that Office 365 group structure. Anybody in the room go to the group session? You're not allowed to answer. Okay, so you understand the concept of what I'm talking about. So if you think about it, we work in a very unique world. We work where people still want phones on their desk. We work in a place where people don't ever want to talk to another person. They want to talk to them via text. They want to write a spec doc on somebody to give them feedback on it without having to get on a phone. More importantly, we've got global organizations around the world that are trying so hard to be productive across time zone. One of the ones that for me is challenging is I wake up every morning and Europe has filled my inbox. And then towards the end of the day, and I go check my email at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and Asia's filled my mailbox. So that asynchronous conversations that were happening, that were very email-centric, were very siloed to who was there. And so I moved a lot of those conversations to Teams, especially around things that we were doing around our comms channels. So let's go and check out Teams. Now, this is a brand new team. I set this up this morning. Took me 4 minutes to set it up. And by set it up, I mean like I went to teams.microsoft.com and I logged in with a name and password. It took me longer to find the name and password than it did to actually get in and set up a team. So let's do this a little bit about how I live. So I'm in the persona of Megan right now. And you can see Megan is showing me that she's available and she's green. And as you can see on the different elements over here on the left, I've got all those tabs. Now, or that's Lydia, I'm sorry. This is Megan. And Megan's green. And there's T-Bot. And there's the same team that I had before. I'm going to blow it up a little bit so you can see it, because in the web I can blow up the size so you can take a look at it. Can you guys see it from there? Yes. Thank you. Excellent. Okay, so one of the ones I'm going to do is I'm going to start a whole new team. And we're going to call it Tech Summit Chicago. Actually, let's do Tech Summit DC. This is, it uses the AD group infrastructure underneath. It's not, you're not going to be able to go into your groups and find it. It actually will live within Teams. Does that make sense? So it uses the AD groups infrastructure to build out the permissioning. the same as you would, but it does not go and build your conversations will not show up in your Office 365 Outlook groups. Okay? So in this, I get to go and add members. So in this case, I'm here. So I want to add Lydia. I want to add Miriam, because she's, our VP. And I want to add Irvin. Okay? And as simple as that, I've added 4 people to this team. Now, Irvin is a director in our technical ops group. Miriam is a marketing director. The 2 of them are not in the same organization at all, but I need them both to be involved in this. So one of the biggest things that I need to do is I can create multiple channels. So this is my general one. So I'm going to create another channel here, and it's going to be content for sessions. Now, as this whips it up, it's already doing the permissioning that's there. It's got the SharePoint on the back end for me to be able to get into it and drop file management, But at the same point, I want to come into files, and I want to drop in all of my content. So I come in and I upload my content, or I can create a new one directly from here through Office 365. So I can create a new Word doc or PowerPoint or Excel directly from it. But then I come in and I come over to my desktop and I realize there's my Tech Summit decks. And now I've just uploaded all of them for my entire team to see.
Would you be able to access those files from somewhere else?
Yeah. You mean like this?
No, from other applications.
Yeah, so in those applications, so those are PowerPoints, right? So I want to be able to open it from PowerPoint.
No, I'm saying, are they stored?
They're stored in a SharePoint site that's on the Teams.
So then you would be able to access them, not using Teams, but also.
Yes. Yeah, because all of those PowerPoints, like I don't want to work in PowerPoint Online when I want to do advanced graphic workloads and design stuff. I want to go into the rich client and be able to do it. And because it's tied back to SharePoint Online on the back end for that site and content management, and it's all stored within that group. So if I go and I take a look at my files that are in here, once this is loaded, you can actually see they're all here. Now, if I wanted to, I could actually create folders to put these in as well. So I could do the site and content management as well. For discovery. So because from a discovery standpoint, this is all in the Office 365 SharePoint backend. Okay? Now, great, so I got files. Now, that's great that I got files, but what I really need is I need Irvin, review the GSO2 deck, and at Lydia, check the Now, so this right now is not only is sending my update and sending it out, and I'm in my web browser. Once this thing is done uploading it within that meeting, then and I am dealing with the fact that how many people in here have devices connected to the network? But as this finishes loading, I can actually go back into that rich client for Teams. And in a moment, you can actually see that it has right there, it says that I've got a Tech Summit. It has my 2 folders. And in a moment, what's going to end up happening when it's up there is it's actually going to give me this little red dot right here that says activity. This one right now says that Megan has added me to a group, but once that update goes from before, because I had the @mention, it's going to give me one that says, by the way, you were mentioned in a group. And the reason that this is important is because I don't want to have to actually go and look at stuff that I don't need to see. So you can @mention an entire group, you can @mention individuals, And then you can actually work on that document directly from within the teams. And I'm going to go back to the project here. So where I was back here for content for sessions. Oh, sorry, I was in the wrong one. So I want to replace it. So in this case, I could actually add a file, or I could use one of the files that was already as a link within Office 365. Yes?
So after Lydia checks your document and she makes changes and saves, does she need to re-upload?
No, because that's the advantage of Office 365. And I'll actually show you right now. I can't do it within Lydia's in online. I can do it if I do PowerPoint Online. It's a demo time. But if I go into anything that's in SharePoint Online and I download it, it will sync back to my SharePoint Online when I close that out. As well, if I opened up a document and somebody else is working on it, I'm actually going to get a notification that they're in the document, and I can also have a chat session with them while I'm in the document. Yeah, so remember I talked about the Office 365 groups? So it's built on Skype chat. It's built on the email capabilities of being able to see my calendars. It'll also notify me if I've been added to a group from Exchange. It also then it also has a SharePoint site that is actually tied into the back end for this team. So one of the things for me is, let's say that I have a team community that we're working on this, and I'm working on the team. Oh, and where are we uploaded? So now, as I've seen this, you'll see here, it says Megan Bowers mentioned you. I get the notification, and it's actually mentioned me, and there's the file. And so if I want to go and find out what's going on with this file, I come in like this. It actually loads it directly natively into here, and I have the ability, if I want to edit it, I can do it in PowerPoint Online or in PowerPoint. And then because this is all built with the SharePoint Online backend, that site and content management is all permissioned from this group. So the only people that have permissions to see this are people that are actually part of my team. So if I was to include the three of you and myself in a team, we will be able to use that and see that within the team. Now, a great example for us is we have this Enterprise Connect group. We've actually got some information in there that we don't want shared outside of our V team. And so we have it so it's closed down into that team, versus like if I put it on a SharePoint site and I make it public and available to everyone. And so that's kind of what the core behind Teams is, around team collaboration, right? So the other piece to this is the capabilities for chat. So if I came in here and I wanted to have a conversation, remember this is an asynchronous chat, but at the same point I'm going to get notified in real time, right? So it's that persistent chat. So I say, Megan, the soft deck. Now, as I come over to here, you'll notice I'm getting a real-time prompt directly from here. Now, those of you that are in IT, one of the things that you'll notice is that the user experience is exactly the same between my browser and my client. And the reason is we're building it as a web-based app within a wrapper. And the reason for that is it means that we can update that without impacting users. We can make the updates to the client without having to run an SCCM patch or a very large update. Okay. Now, one of the other things that's kind of interesting within this, they were talking about this where they did the Giphies. And I personally like Giphies, and when I'm here, I like monkeys, personally. And if I wanted to go and send this, and I want to be able to see the full thing, because I've got a larger conversation I want to send a picture and a note and all this, I can actually expand it, and I've got full formatting capabilities directly within my chat window. And that chat could be individual with Lydia, or in the case of the team, I can do the exact same thing from down here. And I can do the same thing with the same pieces of the office drama. This is one that we created that was kind of interesting. And, you know, it's funny because I'm very traditional. I deal with email. And then my team decided to move to Teams for all of our major team communication. It took me a week to make the shift because I realized they weren't communicating with me. So I went to where they were communicating with me, right? But one of the things about this and that I want to kind of show is the ability to expand. How many people in this room use OneNote? Okay, those that are not should. And the reason is that OneNote is just an amazing way to be able to consolidate and track your notes and be able to bring that collaboration. However, one of the things we did is we automatically permissioned a notebook directly into your team so that you have access for meeting notes, for team collaboration. If you want to drop a spec doc in, but you don't want to put, it's not a final, you're like, hey, here's some verbiage that I want to look at, you can drop it in here, or you can drop it into the chat, right? The other pieces that we were talking about is the capability to expand and use different things. So if I wanted to add a tab in here I wanted to create a planner, and I'm going to show you how to do that in just a minute, because I think that's actually one of the neat things about this, is where we live in an agile world and we live in these teams. We might not have a complex project plan, you know, that runs for 6 months for something that might just be a 3-week engagement to prepare for an event, right? So in this case, you have the capability to do that, but more importantly is I can also go into my files. Where are my files? There's my team files. I also have access, if I have files loaded into my OneDrive for Business, I also have access to them there, right? But here's what's interesting. Remember we were talking about SharePoint being that common backplane. This is my sites, Tech Summit, shared docs, content for sessions. You can actually see the path that lives in my SharePoint site, okay? But I know that this one we're going to look at quite often. Okay. I love it when it gives me the prompt. Okay. Okay, so one of the pieces that I want to be able to do is add to my tabs, and so I can add those different elements. The other pieces for me is, and I didn't see it there, it typically will give me access to pin one of those documents directly to the tab, okay? So if I was to show you what it looks like when I want to add planner, you'll see the planner come up here at the top. And for our planner, we want to call it content review. And within content review, I'm going to need to create items that live within this. It could be something as a to-do of review session list. And my due date is next Wednesday. I want to assign it to Miriam, because she's our director. I also have a upload content. Except I can't seem to spell. Upload content. My due date is going to be the Friday before the event, and I'm going to give it to Megan. Now, I can add new buckets. That might be a to-do list. It might be content. It might be all the stuff that has to do with content, as well as another bucket for everything that has to do with the event or the event location. It might have everything. It gives me the capability and flexibility to build out a project plan very similar to how I would have at one point in project, but it allows me to assign it to those different people, and they have the capability to see and be notified of what they're tasked with.
Makes your Microsoft project plan a lot smaller.
Yeah, well, think of it in much more agile workspace, right? If you think of a traditional project plan with hundreds of lines, because it's a 6-month engagement, there's still a place for that. Planner is a lightweight project management tool that enables you to be able to do things like a light project plan like this. So for me, where I'm getting prepared to do my content for DC in March, and I've got 5 of us that need to review it, and we need to make sure that the event's booked, I don't need a huge project plan. I need 5 or 6 tasks per person done, and I can bucketize them. And then it's all within that community that I'm able to see. Now, one of the things for me that is important when I deal with this is understanding the activities that show up. Now, you can actually see right here that we went to it, and I'll actually blow it up. There's my work back for the launch. Let me shrink it a little bit. But if I go back to my teams and I go to the Tech Summit one and I go content for sessions, there's my content review. Now, my content review doesn't live in my general. It doesn't live in that. It lives only in my content for sessions. And the reason for that is because I want to make sure that that work stream has it. Think of those channels as work streams. Okay? Now, one of the things that we were talking about T-Bot, right? So if I go to T-Bot and I say, how do add a file to tabs? So I'm going to ask it a question, and it's going to come back. And at this point, I have 2 links I can click to. What type of tabs can I add? And what are tabs and what do they do? So which one should I click on? First one? Okay. So this shows all the different tabs that I can add. I can add a SharePoint site. So you were asking me, hey, if this is my SharePoint, I can add a tab that is that SharePoint site, right? Or I can add a tab that might be a SharePoint site, which is a content repository for all of our videos that we've ever done for, in my case, Skype for Business, right? So one of the pieces, though, that gives you that T-Bot is T-Bot is one of those things that will give you that it's our help bot. But there's a number of bots out there that you can integrate. I can't because of the tenant I'm on. But at this point, I can also watch videos directly from T-Bot. I can do a product tour. I can learn how to use tabs. I can do private conversations and calling. And I can also figure out how to have productive conversations, because it's not always about how you do it or about what the technical piece. A lot of it comes down to the training aspects. And so that's a lot of what T-Bot was for. Now, one of the things that I could do is I can come here for my content for sessions. Come here. Let's hope my connectors work on this one. See if it populates. But this is where I was talking about my ability to go in, and I can actually go and grab the Bing News one, and I can add it right in there. And for this one, the topic that I want is exchange rates, and so I add that right here. Hit save. Oh. Give me a moment while it loads. And so now, within my thing, I actually have a connector in there that actually dropped in the exchange, that'll drop in the exchange rates for all of the group members that will actually get emails from that, almost like it's an RSS feed specifically for exchange rates. Right? So it has a connector built into this. Now, one of the last pieces is meetings. And this is an interesting one, because if I go into meetings, and in this case it doesn't show them because I haven't built it, but if I logged into mine, you will see my Skype for Business meetings, as well as anything else that's on my calendar. And so I will have the ability to see that entire end-to-end view of the day as I'm working from here, and I'm not having to bop back and forth between calendars and everything. Going back to our conversation of that underlying piece of it's all within Office 365 groups. So it's pulling in the information from Exchange. It's using all of the security, trust, and encryption and site content pieces that live within Exchange. And it's living within our conversation platform within Teams. So one of the last things that I really want to kind of drive home, and it's a difficult one to drive home, is different people have different styles in which they work, right? And so people came to me last year, an analyst came to me and said, well, should I use Yammer? Should I use Groups? Should I use Teams? Should I use Skype for Business? What should I be doing for this? And it goes back to that previous slide that I showed you. It depends on who you are and what you do and how you work. But Teams is just that. It is perfect for teams that have very specific requirements, either cross-functional teams or smaller teams that need to deliver on individual projects. One of the things we learned as a learning in our team was we said, hey, we're going to move all of our communication into Teams. We won't send emails anymore. We'll send it all into Teams. And so we had a channel for all of our PMMs. And what we realized is that it was great for individual work items. It was not a replacement for our regular communications in email and voice and video chats. So as you take a look at it, understand the dynamics that you're gonna be experiencing.
So if I have a CEO that likes to work out of Outlook,
Yep.
and then now I finally got them to use Skype for Business, and we just added Office 365 groups, you get conversations in there. Now I have another place for conversations. Are they gonna have to go into this, or are they gonna get notified in Outlook?
No.
How does all this in there operate, so I don't have a CEO that tells me you're crazy again?
You got too many things, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to tell you to go back and watch the group section if you didn't attend it. Did you attend it? Oh, okay. But one of the pieces behind that is you've got a CEO who you've finally gotten into groups, and he's using groups as a connection via Outlook, right? If that's how he and his cohort is going to work, keep them there. If he is cutting, bleeding edge and wants to be completely agile and working with a number of groups that are really wanting to be within an application that's not Outlook but specifically for this, then Teams would be that scenario, right?
What if I have a team that's really into this, and Matt mentions him?
Yeah.
There is
He won't get the at mention in his groups. It would live within Teams. Yeah. No, so there's a very limited email notification. Typically when you are added to, or there is the capability for at mention, but you have to be a primary member to the group. So like if I'm in the group as a contributing member, not just a participant to be able to read only, then if I get an at mention, I can be notified via email. It's a setting. It depends on the scenario where he is. If he has a CEO that's just not a contributor, but actually is just a read only, then he's not going to get the notice. If he's actually a participant, then he would get the notice, and then he has to go into Teams, which was the conversation of having to go into Teams. So we launched Preview in November, and we were in 150 markets in 18 languages. And our GA is planned for later this quarter. However, the biggest piece is when you get to take advantage of what we're delivering in the cloud, you get to take advantage of innovation that we can deliver on a much more rapid basis. If you think of historically, we would release a major server version of something every 3 years at Microsoft. Now we are releasing new features. We are releasing new capabilities consistently within the Office 365 suite. Now, as IT, some of us would prefer that we slow it down because we like to make sure our users are prepared. I get it. I was an IT pro. I'm there. But at the same point, our end users tend to want that innovation faster than we're able to deliver it historically. And so the cloud is really enabling that, which is why Q2 and onwards is really, you're going to start to see additional features, different plugins, additional pieces. So what are the next steps? The next steps are go turn on Teams for your company, okay? You can identify a team to begin a pilot, right? So you turn it on, your users don't know it's there. They would have to know to go to teams.microsoft.com. And they could do it from the web portion, or they could do it from the online portion. Now, or from the app that we give you the capability to download. Now, one of the biggest pieces that I would suggest, how many people in here know where to turn on Teams? I got 5. Who wants to see where to turn on Teams? Excellent. Okay, so you all familiar with this page, right? Okay, you all familiar with this site? So as you go into your admin portal for Office 365, this is what, has everybody seen this before? Okay, so the biggest piece of this is because we've got a lot of different people, this is actually our admin portal for all the pieces and components of Office 365. Now, one of the biggest pieces, though, is that it can look a little daunting when you come in. However, if I come over here and I go to Settings and Services and Add-ins, okay? This is going to bring me to any of the additional pieces that I want to be able to enable, right? So if I wanted to go and I want to go to the Office store and manage the settings for the tenant, for people to get in there, there's my Office 365 groups, but there's my Microsoft Teams. And it gives you the capability to enable them. So if I wanted to enable bots, I just changed it. This is where I turned it on. So I can turn it on and off for the organization. It is an on-off for the organization right now. There are some abilities to do it via licensing that's coming after we go GA, so watch for that. But by the way, did you know that it's included with all your eSKUs? So if you have an Office 365, it's included in your enterprise SKUs. So now I come down here, I hit save. It's now been updated. And now if I go back into my Teams and I come over to here, I then have the ability to add bots, if I could figure out where it is. So I will be honest, I'm the Skype for Business expert. But we're coming down to the end of this, and I really wanted to say, like, the way that it transforms the way Teams works, like the fact that I can share any document, any image, anything, literally from dragging it in and just sharing it, starts the conversation. So we've got about 15 minutes if you guys want to if you have any questions, I'm here, or for the group. Okay, and by the way, you have these 2 blinding lights, so if you raise your hand and I don't point to you, it's not my fault. Oh, okay. I'm going to go with this gentleman first, then I'll come to you. Is that okay? So you can add a SharePoint site to the tab at the top, but the actual SharePoint site that exists, So this is a SharePoint site, in essence, that is permissioned for all of those people. And so when I go into my files, as it loads, here, let me go into the browser experience so you can see it. So you see over here, on the right here, where it shows sites.techsummitdc, that is actually the extension. If I take my tenant.sharepoint.com/site/TechSummit, that's my SharePoint site for this. Now, if I wanted to add an external SharePoint that's not part of this, I would typically either include the link in the body of the conversation, or I would actually include it as a tab up top if it's something that's going to be used on a regular basis. Yes? Yes. Yes.
Can I connect that site to this to automatically populate the document?
No, so it's because this is, if you look here, these are actual sites that are built, a separate site that's built specifically for that. So let's say it happens to be, in your case, site/DevOps/shared documents, right? And that's already populated with information. You can include it within the channel as a link to that, but all of those documents will not be within this team. Okay? Yes?
Can you set a naming policy for teams like you can for all of them?
Can I set a naming policy? Do not know. Oh, sorry, over here, he was staring into the light. So I'll start with you, and then I'll work back.
I'm still a little puzzled on the whole file thing. If I've got a marketing site and they have a document library,
Yes.
I want to bring over just the PowerPoints about teams and groups for this presentation.
Yes.
Am I moving those? Am I linking to those? How, if I'm changing these within teams, what's happening to the original documents over on marketing site?
So at that point, if I'm working within a team to update content within that team, I'm going to move those into that team for that period. Okay?
It's not changing on the marketing site for now.
No, so the ones that are on your marketing site, so here, I'll use an example. So we have a UC website, okay? UC Web has every single Skype for Business marketing document that's ever existed. However, I want to work on an update for our messaging and positioning doc. I'm going to move that doc in, we're going to work on it, and then we'll replace it with the update on the public-facing marketing site. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes?
Is there a workflow in place for handling the archiving of content in teams, particularly for industries where there's articles around keeping the content searchable?
Yes. Coming after GA.
Oh, it is. Okay.
It's coming after GA. Yep. Yes. Sorry, he'd asked if what the archival and discovery path was, and so.
I've got, let's say I've got a team with cross-functional, it's called Team 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
They're working on a project, they're all done with it. The fact that it's like now kind of siloed permission-wise so that people can't get in there, is there an easy way to open it up? Is there an easy way to like shovel it out? The general SharePoint environment?
Yeah, so the general archiving and removal of like yourself from conversations so that you're not like for mine, I'm in 23 channels or 23 teams. It's a lot of teams and not all of them are still active. There's plans on how we're going to deactivate and archive those, but we're still in preview for that, right? So.
Okay, my other question is the web interface for teams, is that dependent upon the tenant SharePoint experience version that's turned out in 2013 versus 2016?
Say that again, because I didn't.
Your experience version in SharePoint, like if the site collection is running as a 2013 site versus 2016?
Yeah, so I don't know. Sorry, I'm not. Yeah. Well, actually, should we ask T-Bot, see if it knows? It doesn't matter on the UX? So I was just told it doesn't matter. So, but I still want to ask T-Bot. Couldn't find any matches. Okay, yes.
So we've done all of our governance for SharePoint by each office has its own site collection.
Yep.
These are their own site collection.
Yes. Any other? Yep. Okay, over here.
You might have said this earlier, but why, if I'm a global admin, do I have to have a license to actually touch anything related to the team? Why is that? I have no license, global admin,
Yeah.
which is fine. I can do that with everything. I can manage Exchange, I can manage SharePoint. Why have you guys decided that I can't do anything with the team as a global admin?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can't.
Okay.
You actually have to be licensed to create the team and manage the team as the owner.
Yes. Okay.
And so why is that so siloed with everything else that you can do in the admin center? You try to do something with the team as a global admin, or even any other.
Well, within Teams, within Teams, as a global admin, I can turn it on and I can change the settings.
You can't do anything with people in the team.
No, I can't. No, because I can't. I can't be in there because the team experience is actually, right?
Yeah, I get all that.
Yeah.
But you can't see who's in a team. Well, you can't do it.
Not currently. No, you can't.
But I'm saying, is that common?
Yeah, the advanced archiving and details and understanding the IT pro experience from an admin perspective, there's a lot of work being done in that space.
If a user has no idea what a team is, and they say to me, create 6 teams with 30 people in each team, I have to go tell him to do that right now.
Well, typically when you start dealing with a tool like Teams or Slack, that team is going to build their own team. They're not going to go to IT every time they want. You want to build it as a self-service model because the whole point is for that team to be able to collaborate quickly and easily without the overhead.
Yeah, that may fit for certain organizations.
It totally. I mean, I understand different organizations have different uses, but. Okay, did I have one more over here? Okay, thanks guys.